Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you. Great to have you along. As today we are talking to head soccer coach Ben Steichen. Coach, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Season progressing along, I take it.
Yeah, it's fast and furious. I mean, we're pretty much at the halfway point now already, which is really surprising. You spend all that time preparing, and then the next thing you know, you're going, "Wow, where did that go?" All of a sudden, and you're looking forward to the second half, which is really where your season is really going towards.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, with soccer and a lot of sports, the way the district's set up, it's almost a preseason before because those games, they count on your record, but they don't count as far as playoffs are concerned. The games that count for those, that's what's coming up, and the playoffs after that, which you hope to make.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually talking to Enid's coach about that same thing last night. We both feel the same way, that these games are great for us. We're getting to kind of measure where we're at, kind of see where some of our players are at, who's going to make those impacts in those games that are meaningful, and then really just saying, hey, forget about the records, throw them out of the book right there, and we've got to play this district now. And in our district, having two foes that are also rivals, or that kind of goes out the window too. So now it just adds more and more to it. But we really feel like we get to see so much more, and it really is a second preseason for us.
Yeah, the thing with soccer too, you're looking around, you're like, hey, we played this team, they played this team. You're trying to figure it out, but soccer, the scores are usually lower, right? So
yeah.
It's hard to really do comparative scoring. But at the same time, when you get into the season, you get against those tough teams, all it takes is one moment, and all of a sudden you win or you lose. So you're right there in soccer, maybe more than some other sports. You're in every game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, soccer's generally a low-scoring sport, and we like it that way. When they get out of hand, you see some of those scores, you're going, wow, really, either that team is really good or something went wrong. It just snowballed into effect, and we've had some of those. We had a lot of those last year because we were so young and inexperienced that it just felt like it snowballed, and we just couldn't get over that hump. This year, we've had a little bit of a change and a little bit of shift towards that side of saying, no, we can respond from it. We actually did that in the second game of the season against UConn, where we let in a goal that we really shouldn't happen. Mental errors as a team. It was several players all at once, and it's just that mental error. They scored, and the guy stuck with it, differently than last year. And we came back and went ahead and grabbed a goal off of a corner, which they weren't prepared for. Really great play by our defender. Grady Scott came in and scored a goal off of that one. And then it just kind of snowballed to where, hey, now we're in this game, and it created a great atmosphere, great competition. And then at the end, that went all the way to shootout where we lost. But it's different than last year, so we're finding those as we go through.
All right, now let's get to the team itself. You knew coming in kind of who your impacts, but like you said, you had a young team. So who are the ones that you think have really stepped up and come through for you? And then maybe the ones you're seeing starting to step up halfway through the season.
First off, we got to go with Dax Iragi. He's got 7 goals in 3 games. He scored 2 straight hat tricks for us, where he has just been on target going, and he's a guy that really moving out of the midfield and had to go into a forward role for us, and he's been that talisman really kind of going forward. And then behind him, a guy that's really kind of stepping into a role of taking over the midfield has been Hondo Perez, has been fantastic. Now he's starting to get into the attack with it, but really settling on defense and controlling that midfield as much as possible. Between those two dynamic duo with them, they've got 10 goals between the two of them. In the last 4 games as they go into it, plus another 2 assists. So it's been really fantastic to see them on the offensive side. They're putting in the effort and putting in the great skills that we really needed going forward. So offensively, those 2 guys. Defensively, we're seeing those guys that we really, really needed. Adrian Perez and Aiden Stevenson in the center backs really kind of doing their job and really flowing and keeping that defense working. And then Evan Mills has been fantastic behind him. He's working on right now 74 saves throughout the games. We've had a few more where we've kind of given up a few more shots, but he's been Johnny on the spot for it too. So we're really pleased with those guys really stepping into the roles when we needed them.
All right, you want to make playoffs. That's the ultimate goal. And you got the districts that decide that. And you got to be top 4. It's not changed like football has where it's the top 6. You got to get top 4, which makes it tougher when you look at your district. And we go more on that coming up. But if you want to make the playoffs, what are the things you look at right now you guys are going to have to do well or maybe work on?
It kind of goes back into we played a JV game last night, and these same things really move into the forefront for our varsities. First off, we got to have great effort. Without the great effort, then we're not going to go anywhere. It's just going to snowball the backwards way that we've had before. Then you're going to go ahead and have to, trust the process as you go through. We talk about it all the time. We're still a young team at times where we have to trust that we are going to grow each game. Every game is about being 1-0 at the end of the day, as opposed to just thinking, hey, we're building, and all this record that we're going to throw out the window here in another week anyhow, just to move forward. So we've got to have that mindset of really going through. And then communication is going to be huge for us. We get those kind of things going through, and then you add movement into it on and off the ball. Those four things are really, really big for us. We've been preaching, talking about, doing everything we can moving forward, that this is what we want to have our teams do.
All right, now let's talk about that district and tell us kind of who's in there and what you're seeing, because like I said, you can't help but a coach to look around and see what they're doing. So how's this district shaping up through the non-district part, because you guys start it in a week?
I think there's a lot of parity. I think that there's a lot of parity. There's a lot of open play that's going to be available for us. I mean, we have some key matchups that we feel like it's better suited because we're playing them at home. And then some of those swing games we got on the road and everything. But it seems like even the top end guys are struggling a little bit. Jinx is struggling a little bit. But of course, who they're playing really kind of dictates that as they go into it. But to kind of see them where they're at right now, it opens up the field a lot more. Same thing, we've got two rivals, Ian and Stillwater, of course. And so anytime that they do good or do bad, that goes out the window when it comes to us. Anyhow, that just needs to be a game where it is going to be old-fashioned. Hey, who wants it more with it? We got some newcomers to our district we haven't faced in a long time in Piedmont, and then also U.S. Grant. Nolfo and Sepulpa that we're going to face later on in the year. But each one of those teams really provides that opening that we feel comfortable and confident. We can be in the matches, late in the matches, and then pull out victories that would actually enable us to get in those playoffs.
Yeah, and the key to make playoffs, you got to find a way to win 4, right? I mean, that's usually it. Yeah, now, I know there can be tiebreakers and stuff like that, but usually if you can find a way to beat 4 of those district teams, you're going to be in. So
that's what we're always looking at. We get Enid and Stillwater at home. Enid's going to open up next Friday night for us, a great rivalry to open up the district, and then Stillwater's our senior night. So, I mean, great opportunities and great nights that are, the atmosphere is just so much different that we can actually go through. And we're kind of hoping that we can create even a little bit more atmosphere if we, by some chance the new facilities open up at any time. I know they're getting closer, and we've been in contact with downtown here, and they've been hopeful. We've been hopeful. I mean, but at the same time, if we don't, we expect great atmospheres anyhow with those nights. And then you start talking about once you have success, it breeds more and more, and you're going to continue to feel good about where you're at and opening up to possibly get at least those 4 wins, if not a few more, if we can go ahead and get some things swing our way.
Well, and I'm sure you've been enjoying the nice weather.
After
it was kind of crazy when you first start practice, which is usual, and then they had the wind and everything. Kind of, hard to play soccer with the wind like it was, right? I mean, you can go do it, but that ball's going to carry pretty good. Talk about kind of the weather helping out and how that helps as far as just the mood of the team. I feel like gets better because they're out there going and practicing in really good weather.
Yeah, I mean, we've been blessed with that one. It just seems like, every year we seem to get hammered with this weather that's either too cold, or maybe we're getting wind, or we're getting storms, and if they hold off, I mean, everything's been looking good for I would look 2 weeks at a time, and every single time we're seeming to get good weather. There'll be a little bit of wind tomorrow, but Friday and Saturday when we go to Stillwater tournament, it's looking to clear up, and the early indications next Friday is going to be a beautiful day again in April. So every time that we can get those, it just adds into it, and when we get it during practice time, it helps us prepare for those games because it's been warmer. And we get used to that a lot more. So anytime we get that good weather, at least warm weather, it makes it a lot easier. We'll deal with the wind when we can.
And that's going to be kind of my last thing. When you look at wind, we talk about how it affects baseball. We talk about how it can affect football. when it comes to soccer, how does the wind really affect, and is there any adjustments that have to be made?
It really depends on the field position. You get the east-west fields. A lot of times it'll affect it, but it'll blow across the field, so it can carry it. The time that's going to happen is shots carrying across the goal a little bit more than what they normally would. But if it's a north-south, you're generally probably going to get it a little bit more, where it makes it really, really difficult going against the wind. You're going to have to play on the ground. With that changes our tactics of we got to play faster on the ground and get out of trouble. We got to move. Whereas when you got the wind, now you can go a little bit long ball, but then you have to be careful about how hard you hit it as well, because it may roll too far, and now your guys are just in a foot race, and you're becoming more of a track team than you are a soccer team. So it does impact a little bit, depending on how heavy the wind is versus the direction of the field and direction of the wind. So we make small adjustments there, but normally 10-mile-an-hour wind, it's not going to really affect us. You get to that 20, 30-mile-an-hour wind, that goes.
No, I just think the corner kicks is where it would probably affect you the most.
It can. It kind of depends on your corner kick taker. It depends on how they flight the ball. If they flight the ball a little bit lower, you get those drives, then it doesn't affect it near as much. You get those ones that loop and curve a little bit more. Yeah, you might see some that end up where you didn't expect them to, which is always a great thing if you're on the offensive side. Defensively, You're looking at it going, why, how, what?
Yeah.
So.
All right, man. Well, best of luck. Look forward to district's play getting started up, and best of luck trying to get to playoffs. I mean, it'd be nice to see you guys get there. It's been a little while, I think, since Ponca's been there, right?
Yeah. It's been several years. It's been about a decade since we've been there. These guys, and I've had teams before that have been totally deserving of it.
Yeah.
We just haven't had results go our way. Lost on tiebreakers several times as we go into it. But these guys definitely are deserving. They've been working hard. They've been dealing with coaching very, very well. And then they've been doing a lot of leadership themselves. So I'm excited to see what it brings for them. The early indication of the season is that this is a different team, a team that, has that ability and has a lot of special gifts that we can actually see that we haven't seen in a while. So we're excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate the time.
Appreciate it.
Ben Steichen, and that's going to do it for today's Coach's Corner. Get out there and support soccer. Look at the schedule. Get out there for some of these home matches and support these girls and boys soccer teams. And that's going to do it. Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and until next time, go Cats.